Today we get to see another instance of pointing a gun at an officer being suboptimal as a strategy. Hi everyone, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self Protection. I'm your host as always, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from Fairfax County, Virginia.
KSG Armory makes a high quality, affordable holster, whether outside the waistband, inside the waistband, or appendix carry. We are proud to have them in the holster consortium. Use coupon code ASP2020 at the link in the description for 10% off. You have the dash cam here of an officer who is looking. Several officers have found this car because the guy who is brought in this car to the mall has stolen a gun from a relative's house, fired that gun in the house, and then taken it from them. They called and reported it as well. He is a felon, so he's now a felon in possession of a firearm who's committed aggravated assault on family members. So he's absolutely a Boy Scout on his way to Bible study. So they're going to take him down in this parking lot, and if you go watch the original, the officer is talking to the other officers and saying, hey, come back around here. Let's get him in the car. Now, I don't know what he is doing, futzing around with the side of his vehicle here, but the officer is going to decide to roll and take this guy down when his partner comes back around the other side to box him in. We do have dash cam audio and badge cams from here, so let's listen in.
Box him in. Hey, don't! Hey! Hands! 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 Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Watch out! Show me your hands! Stop! Hey, he's reaching. Show me your hands! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Never 600 on a gunpoint. Lower target. Show me your hands! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Show me your hands! I will shoot you! Show us your hands! Show me your hands! I'll shoot you! He's got a gun! He's got a gun! He's got a gun! 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 Drop the gun right now! Drop it! Gun! Drop your gun! Drop your gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! You're gonna get shot! His hand. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! You're gonna get shot! Dude, I'm a... Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Show us your hands! Show me your hands!
Shots fired. Start rescue.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Oh, yes. Shot!
Show me your hands,
sir! Show us your hands!
Show me your hands!
Show us your hands! God damn it, can you see his hands?
Yeah.
Can you see his hand?
Yeah.
Show us your hands, sir!
At this point, all the officers have to figure out how to see what's going on with this guy. He's non-responsive and ends up slumped back in his seat. So they're going to have to figure out how to get in there, though, without endangering everyone and without doing the Taliban wedding ceremony here and putting each other in jeopardy. They did get in there and found out that he had taken the Nordstrom Rack parking lot temperature challenge, and no one else was harmed, and that is where this one ends.
Hey, would you think about joining us for this month's online seminar? We do a new one every single month, deep dives. We do them over Zoom meetings, and if you can't make it live, we do them, put them unlisted, and so you can watch it afterwards as well. Go hit the link in the description, and if you are a Gold Patron member, you get to come for free.
So, law enforcement officers, this is their mission, to apprehend criminals and take them out of society to keep them from endangering others. And so I just think kudos to these guys for being willing to step in on a known violent felon and get him out of the societal pool. I also think here our officers first encounter this guy. We know he's got a firearm. We know he's a violent felon with a firearm. I don't know that he has the firearm in his hand. So I can't shoot here, but I start issuing commands, and I really think this officer did a great job of using his B-pillar to give him some safety. I would wish that maybe he hugged it a little tighter, but he's got to be able to see too.
Yeah, agreed, John. Everything you said I agree with, so I'll just move on. Listen, these officers, this unit, obviously has worked together before. Their group tactics are very, very good. They had a plan, or they formulated a plan quickly here at this moment. Okay, we had an open spot. We can pen this guy in. Maybe wait until there's no other innocent civilians around to the extent possible. But this is their group tactics throughout this whole encounter are really above average, and they're to be commended for that. They never did anything that I observed that was unsafe. There was a lot of crossfire concern. They had their poop in a group, as it were.
Yes, they're feces cohesive, as it were. Now again, I mean, as an officer, you want to take suspects into custody. And I know some people are like, oh, cops just want to kill people. I think that that's just not really borne out by the evidence. And so they're trying their very darndest to get this guy to give up so that they can get him in custody and get the danger over with without ending up having to shoot this guy. Now, you said, Mike, that we had a minimum amount of worry about crossfire, but it is a continual worry, right? We don't want to have a Taliban quinceañera here and end up, with one of those kind of problems. And so constantly communicating with each other is a significant thing. I would encourage them to talk, one person talks to the suspect. Now, of course, to all private citizens, I would say this. If ever a police officer is pointing a firearm at you and you happen to have a firearm on your person or in your vicinity, the answer is not to pick that firearm up and say, yes, you're right, sir, I do have a firearm. Instead, I would say your chances of being shot by the officer are significantly less if your hands are completely empty and you're not making any threatening gestures. I got to be honest with you, given everything that's going on here, Mike, I kind of cringe and they put themselves at significant personal risk to give this guy every chance they possibly could.
It's tough it's a little ponderous, this motion with the hand. It's almost as if he's letting them know it's there. He's not really threatening with it at this moment. I'm not sure what was going through his mind or what he thought he was doing. There's an outside chance he was like, it's here and I'm not going to shoot you with it. I don't know. But the fact is, if you're dealing, as you said, John, you're dealing with police officers who are clearly amped up for good reason and they're pointing guns at you. If it's next to you on the seat or whatever, or it's in a holster, leave it where it is. Keep your hands clear. Look, as long as your hands are clear, no one has any reason to shoot at you, right? But if you fill your hand with a gun for any reason, you're running the risk of being shot. So if this were, as you said, John, if this were a private citizen who was worried, oh no, I'm stopped by the police and I have a gun, let me show them I don't intend to use it. Bad move. Just leave it where it is. In this guy's case, I'm not sure what was on his mind, but this was a terrible idea to hold the gun up like he did.
100%. Now, for the officers here, make sure that you're using your low ready available. I think the officer that was on screen right now is doing just that. He's looking over the top of his gun so that he can see the threat. Now, the officer here, his articulation, and I think it's a good one, he said that when the perp actually turned the gun towards the officer that is on camera right now, that he had to fire. And so he said, I had to go for it here. I just say, this is when, how far away is this threat? About 7 yards, something like that. This is that standard, but it's not a full presentation. This is not a full standing presentation of bad guy, which means even in those 7 yard spots, you better be able to hit a small target under duress. And if you can't do it on the range under the small duress of a timer, you probably can't do it in real life. So you better get good with your marksmanship.
Marksmanship. And also, John, another thing I'm sure you thought of, didn't mention, he's shooting through a closed window. Now, it's not a windshield. It's a different thing than a windshield. A windshield will stay intact. It'll do weird things. You make your bullets do weird things. Side window like this, generally speaking, I believe it's called tempered glass. It's almost always going to shatter with the first round. So I don't know what's going through the officer's mind if he thought, I need to clear this glass and then get to work on this guy or what. But as you said, he clearly had the confidence to make that shot. Didn't appear to hesitate at all. And yeah, 7 yards. You need to be employing your combat breathing to the extent that you can if you're not giving commands, and keeping yourself ready and razor sharp, ready to act if you have to. And it appears that's exactly what this officer did here.
Now, once the shots break out, this guy ends up dropping the gun. We find out he ends up dying in the car. Okay, fine. But the officers don't know that yet. Now they have to coordinate among themselves to try to get this guy out of the car without anyone else getting shot or without having to shoot him again. And this is really difficult. So the only thing that I would say here is they're trying to communicate with each other, figure out who's where and who's doing what. And that requires scene command. Now, listen, you might say, well, there's a sergeant on scene or whatever, but my encouragement to any officer is that old adage from Jim Mattis. He wants initiative and aggression. So if nobody's taking charge, you take charge. You decide, okay, I'm on scene command. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And then if somebody else comes along and says, I'm higher ranking, I'm scene command. Cool, what do you want me to do? But until then, take command, take initiative, do a good thing, and start coordinating people. These officers did a great job of doing all that and getting this guy into custody, giving him some medical assistance that didn't turn out to be worth anything because the injuries were too severe. But I really think these officers did a pretty darn fine job and covered the entire community's ass.